Well, the former national vice chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Lukman, has warned that opposition figures like Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, and Kayode Fayemi will be even worse leaders than former presidents Goodluck Jonathan, Muhammadu Buhari, and current President Bola Tinubu. In a statement reacting to recent political developments, Lukman criticized the politicians for prioritizing personal ambition over genuine democratic reforms. He argues that their desire to lead a new opposition coalition is driven by self-interest rather than a commitment to strengthening Nigeria's democracy. He says Nigeria risks ending up with another bad leader in 2027 if political institutions are not strengthened. Let's bring in Arise News Director of News and Politics Editor, Sambo, for more on these stories. Thank you so much, Samna, for making time out on the news.
Thank you, Adesu.
Well, let's just briefly touch on the meetings of the Northwest governors. As we know, the insecurity that we used to witness and notice in the Northeast seems to have shifted to the Northwest. Now they are turning to development partners. What did you make of their meeting today?
Yeah, not too late. But these are issues that we should have been expecting from them over time. We've seen a situation where that region, which holds the vast majority of Nigerians, has been turned into a war zone, and we've seen a lot of security attention being deployed there because of the presence of, anti-state actors. And we've seen a situation whereby instead of focusing on development issues, boosting agriculture, which this zone is well known with, we've had resources being focused on tackling issues of insecurity. Farmers are not going to the farms. And so for these governors to be meeting and talking of, harnessing the benefits of partnering with development partners, it also means one thing actually, that government seems to be getting it right in terms of security, because there's no how you'll be bringing the EU and the AFDB in a situation whereby the insecurity continues. We've seen actually the government doing so well in terms of the military successes of recent in states like the same Katsina. You go to Kaduna itself with the partnership put in place, some sort of subtle dialogue between the government and even some of these bandits by Governor Obasani. And then by the time you go to Zamfara State, you see what the governor is doing also to reduce that. So for them to be meeting development partners now, it actually signposts that Nigeria is beginning to get into a post-banditry period within that Northwest region. And so what we need to do right now is for the federal government to support the Northwest governors by ensuring we have more security presence there, partnering with the likes of Niger Republic. Despite the challenges that we have diplomatically, nonetheless, we have a Nigeria-Niger Development Commission, so to say. So we need to partner with them, because what used to happen before is that most of these states are bordering Niger Republic. So once you tackle insecurity here, they run into Niger Republic. So despite our differences with ECOWAS and Niger, if we do not tackle, this insecurity to the last, then I wonder how the UN or the AFDB can come in to actually support them, because, you can't put money in a place where you know that farmers cannot go to farm, even children are unable to go to school, and then people are being kidnapped. But the reality is that from what we can see and the statistics and figures coming out of that zone, if we continue with the military push, maybe for a year or two, especially before the next elections, then some of the development agenda that these governors are canvassing will actually, be brought to fruition. Now we could see some sort of growth, because look at Jigawa State, for example. Dry season farming. They are very good at dry season farming. Wheat farming was launched there by the federal government, but because of some of these issues, we couldn't continue. In Kano, they are also good at, this dry season farming, irrigation, and all of that. So if the federal government could harness the potentials of this region very well, the issues of food insecurity, and then with us having so much people in this zone, we could actually tackle poverty to a great extent.
Great, because a lot of things, border around security. Security is paramount. Let's move on to another story. The former national vice chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Lukman, has been making comments. He says the likes of Rotimi Amechi, Kayode Fayemi, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi Well, he puts them as opposition figures, which is interesting. Some will say Salihu Lukman himself is a controversial figure. Should we be looking at the messenger and the message, or should we pick the message and leave the messenger?
Well, we should pick the message and leave the messenger. I mean, apart from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, I don't know any chief letter writer politically than Salihu Lukman.
Yeah.
I mean, he kept writing all of that. I mean, I met Adams Oshomole, Senator Adams Oshomole, some time ago. We had a conversation, and he said that Salihu Lukman, he's just one chief letter writer that just keeps writing to the extent that he writes himself into trouble. And that's what happened while he was a national vice chairman of the APC, and until he had to end his term controversially. So in terms of the message, yes, I mean, he's actually got a very strong message here. And that's why you will see that sometimes...
He says these people will be worse leaders than the presidents we have?
Yes, actually. I mean, these are people he's worked with. I mean, he's been an activist himself. He was in the midst of some of these people. Ask yourself, why does Nasser El-Rufai want to come back? Through the back door, either through SDP or maybe stay in the PDP, in the APC as a spoiler. It's simply because of what's happening. I mean, maybe some sort of trying to be vindictive because of what's happening in his home state of Kaduna, and of course, the sort of support he expected from his successor, he's not getting that. And he's thinking that that is happening with the backing of the Tinubu-led federal government. And of course, he couldn't get into government because, you know, he had issues with his screening and all of that. So he feels it's a payback time because he had done so much for President Tinubu, standing in during the issues of, you know, cash, lack of cash and all of that, you know, with former CBN governor Emefiele and all of that. So he feels aggrieved. And yeah, I mean, politics, it's normal for you to feel aggrieved. See Rotimi Amechi too, also saying so many things. And when you see it, actually, it goes down to what former Governor Peter Obi has said, that he seems to be viewing them from the prism of grievances, personal grievances, not because they want to come together and form a government that will help Nigerians. And that's why he was saying that if that is the direction they are going,
he won't be a part of the
coalition.
He
won't be a part of it. Because we've come to the, you know, to the zenith of, you know, proactive opposition politics with this set of politicians. In the years of the PDP, these were the progressive mindsets that we used to think that once they get into power, that it will be El Dorado in Nigeria. But unfortunately, they've got into power, have got close to power, and we haven't seen so much happening. Instead, there's infighting between this set of people who started from 2005 till now, and they've been, you know, bonding in one way or the other. But so what we are seeing is that there's a deliberate interest to bring personal issues. Okay, like Salihu Lukman actually said. So if you bring another Southerner to take over the job of President Tinubu, who's from the South, isn't it going to be hitting at the North? Because that means the Southerner will want to do another 8 years. So why don't you allow that Southerner who is there to go for another 4 years? Okay, peradventure President Tinubu doesn't do well. And it is right for Nigerians to actually say they want a new leader in 2027. Are these the right set of people that can bring a better leadership than Nigerians can? What is the narrative that they will be selling to Nigeria? Because Rotimi Amechi, for example, he was in government as Minister of Transportation and Governor. Hussein Atiku Abubakar was in government as Vice President. We are going to judge them by their antecedents. And if you put them together with the crop of leaders that we have now, many people are saying that there's not so much difference between them and those in power. So we should be careful. That's what Salihu Lukman is saying. Let's be very careful not to upset the apple cart. If not, we may find ourselves going much more backwards.
Sambo, they're telling us to round up, actually end this conversation. But I wanted you to comment very quickly on what Mr. Salihu also said. He said, Nigerians risk ending up with another bad leader in 2027 if political institutions are not strengthened. What exactly is he talking about there? Is it INEC? And he says
not just only INEC,
political institutions.
Even the political parties. I mean, what he's saying is actually the good part of what El-Rufai said during the last conversation last week. Actually, the leading All Progressives Congress has not shown that it is a fully democratic party itself. Its internal processes, the National Executive Committee meetings. When last did you see a NEC meeting being called in the APC? I mean, maybe under Buhari, you could have seen a lot of NEC meetings.
Same as the PDP, they keep postponing them.
Yes, I mean, so something is wrong with the internal democracy of our political parties. The chairman of the APC is supposed to come from the North Central, but someone from the Northwest is there. That of the PDP, someone is supposed to come from the North Central, but someone from the Northeast is there. The Labour Party is busy. So something is wrong with our democratic setup politically. And then, of course, INEC seems to be, you know, full of so much things that people are saying that, look, for us to get it right in 2027, we need to decentralize INEC. We need to allow people who have the genuine desire to serve Nigeria to be in INEC.
Yeah.
Maybe bringing some other activists into INEC and less of these officious people, because we are seeing other countries around us like Ghana making things right, getting things right. So what exactly is wrong with us? But are these the set of politicians that will take us to where we want to get to? Then, I mean, if you ask yourself the reality, and the average voter, they will tell you no. Can this group of people who came, like the APC, for example, they seem not to be doing better than the PDP that they came to overtake in 2015. Because this kind of gathering that happened, like Waziri Adio wrote, I mean, in one of his articles, you would have expected APC as a progressive party to have its governors and so many people populating that kind of conversation there. But you had more opposition than, you know, these so-called progressive people attending those kind of platforms. The APC looks like it's afraid of opposition to its government. And it's going towards a unitary state, a unitary political arrangement. And if it continues like this, I'm afraid for the APC itself, because if it does not democratize its institutions and allow institutions in the country to function without the big man syndrome, then of course our democracy will suffer for it.
Okay. It looks like we are heading into an intriguing 2027. Sambo, thank you so much.
Yes, I mean, very difficult times, even for the president. Look, he won with about 36-point-something%. So if you won with that figure, there's no how you will be sleeping fine. Because your political enemies, if you put the vote of the PDP and Labour Party together, it's that of the APC. Do you expect President Tinubu to be sleeping fine? These people will come after him. But so he has to do more.
We are told he doesn't even sleep. Sambo, thank you so much.
Well, some of them are making us think that President Tinubu is not worried, but I can tell you, President Tinubu is worried, because if they do get their way, honestly, it will be
always a delight to have you. Sambo is Arise News Politics editor. Thank you so much for being on the news.